You're listening to Community Voice PHL, an award-winning talk show that informs, engages, and inspires. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Community Voice PHL Talk Show. You're listening to WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5. And Community Voice is an award-winning talk show that highlights the value-based programs and services that people of color are doing all across the nation. We'll feature stories about people who are working to make a positive difference in their communities. We'll also inform you about events that are happening, and we'll have engaging interviews with amazing people who will who will inspire you to get involved with building caring and prosperous communities. So thanks again for listening to Community Voice PHL, a talk show that informs, engages, and inspires. So as always, we're excited to be on the air with sharing with you information about what's going on in the city and bringing you some inspiring guests who's going to really, probably get your energy flowing as the seasons change and as summertime is soon approaching. You're going to have some fun and exciting things to do. And I'm excited about the guest that we're having coming on the show today, because this is a guest that will definitely put you into that mindset of making sure you can get ready for the summer and ready for your best life yet. So we thank you for tuning in to, again, Community Voice, a show that informs, engages, and inspires. If you're listening to us for the first time, we greatly appreciate that. And you want to follow us throughout. We normally are one social media platform. We're on Instagram, where you can find us the most at, and that can be found at Instagram. Our handle is Community Voice PHL. We do have Facebook. It can be Community Voice PHL as well. You can find us there. But please, please, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Community Voice PHL Talk Show, and our Apple Podcast, which is the same, Community Voice PHL Talk Show. And if you have any questions about this episode or any other previous episodes you get a chance to check out, you can get an email to communityvoicephl@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to respond accordingly to all of your emails. For those who are checking out for the first time and those who've sent emails, we appreciate that. So keep them coming to us. And also just want to let you know that public access radio, WPPM LP, is a main way of getting information out to you in ways that are unique, ways that are innovative, ways that are just truly astonishing. Here at 106.5 at WPPM LP, Philadelphia, Philly Cam Radio, we have some exciting programs going on. I mean, not just with Community Voice, but if you check out the roster of programs, you go to the website, you'll see that, there's talk shows, there's, music, there's history, there's even politics, right? And we cover a gamut of great, great, great radio programming on public access radio. And I share that with you because if you're wondering how this gets done, this gets done by people such as yourself who can donate. Go to the website, phillycam.org, and make your donation to help support PhillyCam through our fundraising drive right now that we're having going on. Any amount will do. If you want to contribute just as a one-time donor, one-time sponsor in that regard, you can do so. And if you want to just continue doing it on a monthly basis, that will be really great to keep this radio station going, keep these great programs on the air, and keep the access to public radio mainstaying and going here on Philadelphia. So right now, we're excited about the fact that we get to promote this fundraising drive, because every year we find ourselves in this unique position. Not unique meaning that we're starving for funds or anything like that. Unique because we really realize how great this station is, and by that I mean how many times we put out this call and the response that we get. I don't think it's been too many years we've missed our target goal. And that's because, again, of listeners like you. And if you're going to be watching on YouTube, viewers like you who just say, you know what, this is some quality radio, quality programs, quality information that's being given. And you want to make that donation. So it's because of you that we find ourselves in this unique position at time and time again, making the ask and simply getting the request being met. So again, if you want to donate, go to the website, phillycam.org, hit the donate button. You can choose to donate as much as you would like. You can choose to donate a one-time donation, which will be great and will be fine. Or you can choose to donate as a regular donation every month or so, whatever you feel best led to. But we would definitely greatly appreciate your donation so that we can keep this radio station thriving and going and keep it in the space that really provides the information that, like the show here says, informs, engages, and inspires, but also just gives information about, again, music, history, and all the other great things that are happening in the tri-state area that is this radio station's covers footprint. So you want to make that donation, send over to gophillycam.org, hit the donation button as we go through our fundraising drive right now. So greatly appreciate that, and greatly appreciate the opportunity for you to be able to donate and make your donation count on the radio station. So we appreciate that. Got Nick coming to the studio right now, getting them squared away. Going to bring them into the conversation pretty soon. But just also want to let you know that when you're thinking about things to do this weekend, there's going to be a lot of great things happening. But one thing I really want to point out, this is because I'm an art buff and I like, art. I want you to really take mind of the Philadelphia Art Museum. They really have, awesome art exhibits always going on. And I just really, really enjoy the fact that when you go there, it's like a learning experience. At least it is for me. So when you get a chance, go check out the Philadelphia Art Museum and check out some of the great, art exhibits that they have, and things that they have going on, and be able to take in some of that great, great information that they're sharing at the Philadelphia Art Museum. So that's my, really geek out right there. Because again, like, I love art. I love the art museum, and every chance I get to go there, I get to experience something different and something new. And so, I just want to share that with you all, that if you're thinking about something to do on the weekend, really want to relax. I believe this weather weekend is going to be a nice weather weekend. I'm not sure. I just have to check the weather report. I'm just talking off the cuff now. but nonetheless, you don't really have to have a nice weather weekend to enjoy the art museum, because the art museum is indoors. So, let me get my man Nick on the air real quick. Nick, how's it going, brother?
Great. I am tired though. I ain't gonna lie. I just ran for the first time and I don't know how long. My concept of time is absolutely shot. It does not exist to me. So
your concept of time is shot. How did that happen?
of course I could not take accountability for myself and blame my upbringing, but I'm gonna put it on me.
Okay. So you put it on you. So how are you gonna work out this concept of time?
Basically just really getting to places early, because we feel like early is like too early. It's not the time I'm supposed to be there. I'm early. Well, I got to be there.
Right.
But for me personally, I think I might just need to give me an hour beforehand.
An hour? You need an hour leeway to get.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you get an hour leeway. So what does that leave you? How early would you be if you get an hour time?
An hour early. Yeah.
Okay.
If I gotta sit around and wait, it is what it is.
Okay. So that's cool. Well, you know what? Being on time is very important, but also we know that once you get here, you offer value. So what you got for us this week? What's your wise saying for this week?
My wise saying for this week. Oof,
Yeah.
What have I been thinking about? It's been a lot of inner child themes coming up for me personally. Just going into those wounds that we have that we don't really recognize that much.
Right.
So finding out ways that I can think about things that bothered me as a child and healing that somehow.
Healing your inner child. So what's one of the steps in doing that?
What's one of the steps? I like play.
Play.
Yeah. Like just finding a way to make things playful and not, super stressful. So, as I just mentioned, I was running a little late, had to do a little run. Of course, I'm like, all right, I can be hooting and hollering and complaining about me being late, or I can make a game out of this run that I'm doing. So I'm like, all right, how fast can I run up this hill?
You gamified it?
Exactly. Gamifying it just makes things so much more
less
stressful.
So did the inner you win?
Did the inner me win? Something won. I got here.
And I guess that's a good thing you got here. So so listen, let's bring on our guest we have on the show. We have another phenomenal guest that we want to let's get our listening and viewing going. Let's get to know. We have Victoria Mendoza, is a multidisciplinary artist, a sound healer, and heart-centered organizer who believes in the power of people, culture, and collective healing. Victoria works with community leaders in Philadelphia to bring intentional and valuable experiences, workshops, and programming as part of the One Art Community Center. So I'm going to bring on to Community Voice our guest for this time on the show, Victoria Mendoza. Welcome to Community Voice PHL Talk Show.
Hi, thank
Hey,
you so
you're
much.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I gave a brief bio. I see you got your special guest with you.
Yeah, your youngest guest.
Yeah,
And speaking of inner child, I was like, this is perfect.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So give our listeners and viewers a little bit more about you and the work you do, and then we get into a good conversation about that.
Yeah, I am an artist. I originally am from New Jersey, and I've moved here primarily for the creative scene
Hmm.
about 8, 9 years ago.
Hmm.
And yeah, I've just been building my tribe within the creative scene, within the wellness space, and um, yeah, it's community has been everything for
Hmm.
me. It's been what has like rooted me here in Philadelphia, and also just like inspired the work that I do.
Hmm.
So it's everything.
Cool,
Hey,
cool.
Nick.
So, so
Peace, peace.
yeah, so with that being the inspiring work that you've been doing, talk a little bit about the art culture center that you're a part of and how that really inspires others to bring their wellness to a space of creativity and that collaboration in that aspect.
Yeah. So One Art Community Center, I would describe it as an ecosystem
Hmm.
because there's so many different components and elements to it. And it's ever evolving,
Hmm.
completely influenced by the community.
Hmm.
So um, what I would say is kind of the foundation of it is the Black and Brown small businesses, entrepreneurs, creatives, artists coming together and bringing their gifts
Hmm.
to make things like art shows accessible to us, things like sound healing accessible to us, things like yoga accessible to us, and not only making it accessible to us, but making it so that like the practitioners themselves look like us, because that's really important too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned sound healing. Give a little bit of information about that because I don't know if all of our viewers and listeners are familiar with what sound healing
Yeah,
is.
because when I think of sound healing, I'm like, all right, I can, music has so many like different vibrations, and depending
Mhm.
on what you're listening to, it can really put you in a hyper mood or a down mood. Because, like, say if I want to get hyped, I'm gonna turn on some Wu-Tang Clan, ain't nothing with it. You know what I mean? But something tells me that's not the type of sound healing you're referring to. So please
No,
enlighten me.
but
But it could
it is,
be.
in the sense of like that music, everything has an influence on us. We're all vibrations. So like when you go to the Wissahickon and you're walking past the stream and you just like feel so relaxed, like your body is physically like relaxing, releasing tension. It's because you're receiving this natural kind of like healing from the sound of the stream.
Mm,
And so you can use instruments, you can include it into your music, you can, or you can use instruments in my case to use basically an intentional set of like frequencies and vibrations to relax the body, kind of put ourselves into a meditative state, and it can go way deeper as far as like intentionally like healing specific parts of the body. So it gets really deep, but sound healing essentially is just like the influence of like sound vibrations on us. Oh, I think you're muted. This is my while we figure out the mute situation. This is the youngest guest. Her name is Olivia, and
Hey,
she's here
Olivia.
with me.
Olivia, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. I can
can,
hear
can
you.
you
I
hear
don't
me,
know.
Vic?
I can hear you now. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I
All
was
right.
asking about what are some of the tools that you use for the sound healing? I know you mentioned the water and different types of music, but for you specifically.
Yeah, I use crystal sound bowls,
Okay.
as well as a deerskin drum, and hoping to, expand my my collection, but as of now, I use a drum and sound bowls.
So when you're talking about that, Nick was talking about, the sound and sound healing. What are some of the other healing methods that is used to bring the total self to an awareness of, better place and a better space in all regards?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. And like a lot of the times when we think about meditation, like you think, especially the way it's portrayed in media, like you think you have to be sitting a certain way and doing something with your hands and, clearing your mind. And that's not always the case. That's not always accessible to us, me specifically. Like it's very, very difficult for me to bring my mind to stillness, which is how I got into using sound bowls. But meditation, like we know by now how beneficial that is. And it can be as simple as like when you're in the shower, and you feel the water coming down and like on your body, just like mentally thinking like, wow, this is cleansing me physically, spiritually, emotionally. This is cleansing me, taking everything that doesn't serve me away and bringing it down the drain. Same thing with the rain. It's raining today,
Yeah.
On my walk here, I was feeling the rain droplets and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm being nourished like a plant. Like my hair is getting this nourishment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's little moments like that that have a big impact.
Yeah, you mentioned, of course, the natural essence of rain. That just made me think about, like, in a creative sense, I like to always ask someone who's a creative, is it nature, is it nurture? What brings out your creativity? Is it always something that's in you, or is it something that's nourished by your environment?
Wow, that's a great question.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Creatives always struggle with that because they're like, I don't know, because it just is.
I think it's both. I think it's
Yeah,
both
yeah.
because we are created to create.
Mhm.
And, like whenever people are like, oh, I'm not an artist or I'm not creative, I'm like, do you cook? That's art.
How
Do
about that?
you wake up and put clothes on? That's art.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
everything
yeah.
that we do, we're doing it in a way that is specific and unique to us,
Mhm,
and it's art. And
mhm,
so, yeah, I think it's influenced by the world around us. I also think we're designed to create, and so
mhm.
it does come naturally in that way.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
So talk to me about this community stuff because I know you're a community leader, and seen that you mentioned you're a heart-centered organizer. What is that exactly?
That means I do what feels good. I work with organizations that feel aligned with my heart, that feel good to me. I organize events that feel good to me. Like it all is all about the feeling.
For sure. So what do you think what do you say is missing from community? Like what are some of the healing things that we can bring into the communities that are missing, you feel like?
The children.
Uh-huh.
I think like and not just children, but like that youthful energy, how you had just mentioned, like when you were coming in, like how important like the inner child is to you and how that's been coming up a lot for you. And the
Mhm.
answer is like not taking life so seriously, playing,
Mhm.
like that, even within the healing space, like healing should be like, we shouldn't separate so much. Like this is a space for the adults and this
Hmm.
is a space for the youth. Like I am experiencing that so much now that I have a child myself, and
Mhm.
so mindful of that because I have a child now. But like she's with me 24/7. Like if
Hmm.
you are inviting me somewhere, expect my daughter to be with me.
Hmm.
And so and sometimes it's welcomed and sometimes it feels uncomfortable because it's like, oh, this was not, just reading the room, it's like this wasn't the place to bring her. But it's like, yeah, I think we should create more spaces where it's the lines are blurred. It's this is not a healing space or a creative space for adults, not including children. It should be like, this is just a healing space for humans.
So let me just ask you though, because what's your daughter's name again? Remind me. Olivia. Because you bring Olivia with you to certain places, do you think that's kind of in her bringing some awareness of like self? Is that creating something in her as far as her presence being welcomed and felt, so that when she grows up, she won't feel like out of place in certain places because you're bringing her in certain areas?
Yeah, I think it's important that she is like, my life is designed with her in mind. Like, my day is designed with her in mind. So even the work that I do, I'm so grateful that I work at a heart-centered, space, a community center where she's welcomed. I bring her to work with me. My coworkers, they're family. It's tribe. I trust leaving her with my coworkers if need be, while I give a tour or something like that. But absolutely, I think that's 100%. Like, kids don't want to be left out. They don't.
Right.
They want to be included. They want to be like in the things, in the know. And I fully intend on having her be with me, like, even when she's running around. It's like, still, if you are inviting me somewhere, please anticipate my daughter being with me.
Yeah, because I just say that because I believe that's going to give her agency and a voice, and people are like, where'd that come from? And she probably won't even be able to instantly articulate it, but because of what you're exposing her to, it's the foundation of her or her energy. She'll just be that outspoken person and be like, yeah, my mom used to do this and we used to do that, and so it'll just be natural for her. So I think it's such a cool thing. So listen, we are about to wrap up the show because like I shared with you backstage and we were talking, half an hour goes so quickly once you get to talking. But share with our listening audience a little bit about what's coming up with the One Art Center community and some of the ways that they can support you and the community as the work that they're doing throughout the city and maybe even further.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you right now, this Sunday, the Carefree Black Girl Cookout is happening at One Art Community Center. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's this huge, amazing, fun, carefree cookout celebrating Black women. So pull up to that. And I will say, if you want to stay in the know for programs and events and things that are happening and ways to support One Art Community Center, you can follow us on Instagram at One Art Community Center. You could also go to the website at oneart.love and subscribe to the newsletter, because that's the best way to stay in the know of like what's happening and, ways to support.
That's what's up. Well, listen, we greatly appreciate you being on the show. We'll definitely would like to have you and Olivia back on. Maybe we'll do like a montage of, this is her when she's one, and this is
I love that.
have you a repeat guest, down the line. But yeah, we definitely appreciate you being on the show. Keep us in the loop of what's happening, because we would like to come out and support. Maybe one day we can do, some interviews or broadcast at one of your, events, and just support the great work that the One Art community is doing, and making sure that we can give space to that creative area and sound healing, bringing wholeness to our people who are really in need. And I really appreciate that. So again, thanks for being on Community Voice. We greatly appreciate you, Victoria.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So that was Victoria Mendoza. She's one of the greatest, I'm going to call one of the greatest in sound healing in the city of Philadelphia. Maybe a little hyperbole, but that's the way I feel about our guests. So appreciate you, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. So, yep, Nick. So that was another great guest on the show. And again, I know I was talking about the sound healing, but it's really important to be able to connect to that level of understanding wellness. And, from the work that you do in that wellness space, that discovering these avenues of access to self is really important. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you said, it's just really important, and being in those spaces really help. I actually didn't know much about any of what we're talking about until I discovered One Art. So I would highly recommend checking that space out. This is shameless plug right now. I've been, and it's just really been beneficial for my journey and the things that I have going on as far as creativity, that inner child work that we were speaking about earlier, community, family, food. They grow their own food on site. How cool is that?
Yeah, how about that?
It's
How about
just,
that?
it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, and that's what community is about, though. When you talk about community, it's, you know, that whole connectivity portion. So the fact that they do that is not surprising, because that's the essence, a part of their name, their community. And you know, you need that support. It's like the expression Ubuntu. I am what I am because of who we all are. And when we develop that connectivity, then we start to do things for each other. And one of those things is, like you said, grow their own food. You know, probably, I'm sure they have someone who makes music and does other type of visual art. So it's really, really important to be able to be well grounded in that space. So yeah, man, that's great that we had her on the show, and definitely look forward to having her and Olivia back on. And I don't want to say in the near future, but you know, sometime soon, as we have room for another guest opportunity. So final closing thoughts. I know you always drop some knowledge on our final closing thoughts.
Final closing thoughts: diet is not just about food. It's about media. It's about what you're listening to. It's about who you're talking to, the conversations you're holding. All that stuff is incorporated in diet. So food is important as well, but let's take a look at some of the other things too, because it might be affecting you in ways that you're not familiar with.
So you thinking people should go on like a social media diet? What would that look like?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, you know, a lot of times we feel the urge to grab our phone the first thing in the morning. Maybe, how about wait a few hours into the day before you go on that?
Okay, I got you. How many hours then?
How many hours?
What's the challenge?
So
this is, hold up, wait. Yeah, this is Community Voice PHL Talk Show. This is the Ingenious One, Ingenious Nick, and Jeff Jones. If you have any comments about what Nick's about to say, send an email to Community Voice PHL at gmail.com. So when you wake up, I'm asking Nick this question. So Nick, when you wake up, how many hours or what's the time before you pick up your phone? That's if you don't use it for an alarm. Full disclosure, I do use my phone for an alarm. So I do have to, you know, touch it to turn it off. So what's the time frame? From when you wake up, what's the time frame from actually engaging on your phone? I'll say that. I use that word because again, if you use it for an alarm or something, you have to touch it. So engaging on your phone, what's the time?
Let's go an hour.
An hour.
An hour. This is for me too. This is a challenge for me as well. I'm gonna go an hour without getting on social media first thing.
Okay, so that's just social media though.
Yeah.
You can check your text messages.
Of course. You know, it might be something important business related. You got emergency, you know.
That's okay. Hour. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking, but you said just for social media though.
Yeah, just for social media.
Okay, so I can pick up my phone, look at my text message, check my emails.
Check your emails. Gotta check your emails.
Okay, check the weather. No.
Gotta check the weather.
Oh wow, an hour. All right, so there it is, Community Voice PHL family, listeners and viewers. When you get up in the morning, try not to look at your social media for an hour as you start your day. And send an email to communityvoicephl at gmail.com. Let us know how that works out for you, because I'm going to try it. You know, I'm not going, you know, just put Nick out there. I'm going to try it myself too. And Nick said he's going to try it, and we're going to come back, and next week we're going to talk about our results. Because my God, that's an hour. Because I'm thinking, gosh, I don't know.
Delete it off your phone for a second.
What, social media?
Yeah. Just reinstall it after the hour.
That's more work, man. You creating work. Now you're creating work on top of trauma. All right, so about an hour. So wow. Okay. So we got it out there. So all right, I'm done thinking through it. I'm gonna do it. So next week I'm gonna have my results. And so we got 7 days. I'm gonna let y'all know how it goes. Weekend probably won't be too bad because I'm sleep late anyway. So I'll probably sleep past that hour anyway. But wait, is it from when you get up or
from when you get up?
From when I get up. All right, cool. We got you. All right, so there it is, Community Voice family. So when you wake up in the morning, don't engage with your social media for an hour, and send us an email to let us know how that went for you, because we'll be doing the same, giving you the updates. And Nick's going to get a feedback on it. He's probably going to do it for 7 days out of the week. I'm probably going to be like,
I hope
3.
I can last 15 minutes.
I'm probably going to be 3. But listen, you know, that's all the time we have. So thanks for tuning in. Again, if you want to just check us out on Instagram. That's where we land at the most, which is Community Voice PHL. And if you want to send an email to this about this show or any other episode that you check out, send us an email to communityvoicephl at gmail.com. please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Community Voice PHL Talk Show, and our Apple Podcast, which is the same thing, Community Voice PHL Talk Show. So thanks again for tuning in to Community Voice PHL, a show that informs, engages, and inspires. And remember, if it's happening in your community, we need to hear your voice. Peace, and we are out.
Peace.